Alright, so we're going to be making multicolored buttercream for the cupcakes and for the twins' birthday cakes. So I have 1 full stick of softened, unsalted butter. Don't use margarine, don't use salted, use unsalted, room temperature, softened butter. I get mine at Publix, and I use the Publix brand Sweet Cream Unsalted for my baking and for my buttercream frostings. So we have 1 stick in there that we've already softened overnight. If your butter isn't softened, you can put it in the microwave for maybe 5 seconds at a time because you don't want it to melt. You have to be able to whip up the frosting. Or you can put hot water into a cup, let it sit for 5 minutes, dump the water out, sit the stick of butter this side up, and then put the hot cup over top of it and let it sit there for about 10 minutes and it'll soften the butter as well. I learned that trick. So to the softened butter, we are going to put in 1 pound of confectioner's sugar. So that's 16 ounces. If you buy yours in the box, like I have the Domino one today, it's 1 whole box of that. And we're going to add this into... Nick is out of sorts today. Can you hear him in the background? So we're going to add that to the butter. So now that we've added our full pound of powdered sugar in, we are going to add in 2 tablespoons roughly of milk. Now here's the thing, when you're adding in liquid to doing a buttercream frosting, always err on the side of less, which is why I'm saying about. So portion it out and use only 1 at a time because you don't want it to become too thin. Then you have to add more sugar. It throws the whole consistency off. Another thing is, instead of milk, I like to use this. I like to use my coffee creamer, Italian sweet cream. It just adds a little bit of more richness to it. You could also use heavy whipping cream or half and half. I've done it with all of those. All right, so now that we put that in there, we are going to raise it up. Again, remember, start slow unless you want to wear it. We're gonna let this mix about 30 seconds, and then we'll add in a little bit more of our cream. And we'll turn it on higher. And we are going to be dyeing our vanilla buttercream different colors because we're going to do a multicolored cupcake. And I'm going to show you exactly how you're going to do that all in 1 piping bag. We actually are going to be using a few different piping bags, so each colored frosting is going to go in its own. Then we're going to make them into a tube, put it in the bigger piping bag, and then we'll be able to get all the colors into this swirl at one time. I'm going to show you how this is mixing up. This is a really rich and fluffy buttercream, and it tastes absolutely amazing. I'm going to turn it on a little bit higher, and we're going to get this fluffed up. We're going to let this mix for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Leave it alone. So now that we've let this whip up for about 2 minutes, notice the color change. It's going to turn nice bright white. That's what we want. We're going to be changing that color anyways, but we don't want that creamy yellow frosting, and we get that by aerating the frosting as we whip it up. So that's why it's important to let it whip like that for 2 full minutes. Alright, so now that we have mixed up our buttercream frosting, we are going to be dyeing it for the colors and then getting it ready for the piping bag. So for Galaxy frosting, I've decided I'm going to do blue, a bright pink, a purple, and almost like a midnight black, and to get that I'm going to be doing blue and purple together. I am using gel food coloring. That is important to note. Use gel food coloring. Otherwise, if you use the liquid food coloring, it's going to thin out your frosting, and that is not what you want when you're decorating a cake. Use the gel. I got mine at Michael's. I think I paid $9, and it was in an 8-pack. And it comes in the little containers here. And it's gel, and it came in all different sorts of colors. I have a sky blue, I have a pink, I have a violet, I have a brown, a red, an orange, a green. So just invest in that little bit right there and make sure that you get the gel food coloring. So I'm going to, I've already pre-portioned out a scoopful of my vanilla buttercream that we whipped up. And now I've added my gel food coloring to it, and I'm just going to mix that in really well for each color. The pink is almost kind of, I don't want to say neonish to me, like a a neon sort of pink, almost on the borderline of an orangey pink. And adjust how much food coloring you're adding based on the color and the depth, the richness of the color that you want. Gel food coloring goes a pretty long way because it's so concentrated. I like using that because it gives me, I feel like, a more authentic color. I typically only use my liquid food colorings when I just realized y'all can't see me. I typically only use my liquid food colorings when I'm doing like eggs or something where I'm not necessarily worried about true consistency and texture. But if you look, I've mixed up this pink and we still are able to have a nice stiff peak on our buttercream. That's important because we're going to be decorating the cakes and the cupcakes. So I'm going to finish mixing these up and then we're going to move over to our next step. All right, so we are going to get all of our colors into our piping bags. So I have my little retired sippy cup. I use this one specifically for when I'm doing things like this. Put the piping bag into it. And now we're going to just kind of fold it down around the edges of the sippy cup. And we're going to be adding our colors into the piping bags to get ready to do our galaxy frosting. And I'm going to show you on just one of the colors how we load it, just in case you missed a little video the last time about how to load the piping bags. Look at that purple. That is really an amazing color. All right, so now that we have our lined little cup there, now we just simply drop our buttercream. Look at that. That is going to make some really good decorating. That is such a great consistency. We drop our buttercream into our lined cup there. Now we'll pull it up. And now we are not struggling with how to properly load a piping bag. Now, I have already pre-cut off a little bit of the tip of each piping bag. Do not put your buttercream all the way to the end because we're going to be loading all these colors into a bigger bag because we want that multicolored swirl effect. So just get it towards the top, but leave a little bit of space, okay? And we're going to finish doing that with the rest of our cups. All right, so now we've got all of our colored frostings into our bags here. Now we have our larger bag. I have cut off just a little bit of the tip and I have my little starred applicator on here. This is the Oneida number 32 that I'm going to be using because I want a nice good swirl. So now that we have that in there, we are going to lay the piping bag down. We're going to add our others in. We're just going to kind of stack them around each other. Don't worry if they don't reach all the way to that star because it'll get done either way, okay? I like this one better right now. Now we're going to just start to squeeze it. And the colors are going to start to come down. Remember, we're doing a little bit into our cup just to test it. Great. We have our cupcake now. We're going to apply gentle pressure. I'm going to start in the center. And I'm going to swirl my way out. I'm so excited about how this is coming out, you guys.
Freaking artist.
I'm recording. Apparently he's impressed. But look at that, guys. Look at that. Don't you want to eat that cupcake already? Look at all the different colors. Awesome. That is how you do multicolored cupcakes. All right, so I'm going to finish frosting up our multicolored cupcakes. Also at Michael's, I got these. These are the plastic cupcake holders that you would get at Publix or something like that. And I got 24 of them for I think $6. And as long as you're not getting them super messy, wash them out with soap and water, reuse them. And it's a really great investment. It makes things super easy.